Asylum clock for work permits. Hi, this is a video by ASAP. This video is about the asylum clock, which determines when an asylum seeker can apply for their first work permit. First, what is the asylum clock? The asylum clock tracks the number of days since you submitted your asylum application. When you have 150 days on your clock, you can generally apply for a work permit. When you have 180 days on your clock, you can receive a work permit. So, how do you check how many days are on your asylum clock? The answer depends on where you submitted your asylum application. In the immigration court or with the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, USCIS. If you applied for asylum in immigration court, you can call the immigration court hotline. Dial 1-800-898-7180. Press 1 for English. Enter your A number. Enter 1 to confirm your A number. Enter 1 to confirm your name. And then enter 2 to hear the number of days on your clock. Once your clock reaches 150 days, you can apply for a work permit. If you applied for asylum with USCIS, you can count the days from your asylum receipt notice. Here is a sample asylum receipt notice. You can add 150 days to the received date to find out when you can submit your work permit application. For example, if your asylum application was received on May 1st, 2025, then you could Google 150 days after May 1st, 2025 to learn that you could apply for a work permit starting on September 28th, 2025. Can my asylum clock be stopped? Yes. Sometimes the government can stop your asylum clock. If your asylum clock is stopped before reaching 180 days, you will not be able to get a work permit. How do I know if my asylum clock has been stopped in immigration court? If you applied for asylum in immigration court, there may be a problem with your clock if you call the hotline and your clock is not adding new days, or if the hotline says there is no clock. This may have happened because you asked an immigration judge for more time to find a lawyer, or your lawyer asked the immigration judge for more time to prepare your case, or an immigration court staff made a mistake. How do I know if my asylum clock has been stopped with USCIS? If you applied for asylum with USCIS and your clock is stopped, it is supposed to say so when you check your case status on USCIS's website. To check your case status, search for USCIS case status. Next, enter your receipt number from your asylum application receipt notice. If your clock is still running, it will just display your normal case status. However, if your clock has been stopped, the government says it should say that it has been stopped and tell you how many days you have on your clock. USCIS can stop your asylum clock if you missed an interview or a biometrics or fingerprint appointment, or you asked to reschedule an interview, or you moved far away and USCIS moved your case to an asylum office nearer to you. How do you ask to restart the clock after it has been stopped in immigration court? The answer to how to restart your clock depends on whether you applied for asylum in immigration court or USCIS. If you applied for asylum in immigration court and your clock stopped because you or your lawyer asked for more time to prepare your case, then the immigration judge will restart your clock after you have your next immigration court hearing and accept a date for your individual hearing. But if you believe the immigration court made a mistake and your clock should not have been stopped, you can contact the immigration court to try to restart your clock. To find the contact information, you can Google the name of your immigration court. For example, Orlando Immigration Court. Then click on the Department of Justice website. Please note that in some cities, there are multiple immigration courts. So make sure that you are going to the right web page by checking the immigration court's address. Next, scroll down to Contact the Court, and then Asylum EAD Clock Requests. There you should find an email address. You can send a request to this email address to ask to restart your clock. In your email, include your name, a number, and why you believe your clock should be restarted. How do you ask to restart the clock after it has been stopped with USCIS? If you applied for asylum with USCIS and your clock has been stopped because you failed to attend a biometrics appointment or asked to reschedule, then the clock will restart once you appear for your rescheduled appointment or interview. But if you think there has been a mistake and your clock should not have been stopped at all, you can submit a form online. You can find the link to the form below this video. Or you can type USCIS e-request in a search browser. Then click Submit Service Request under Typographic Error. Enter your receipt number from your asylum receipt notice here. Enter the received date from your asylum receipt notice. Under form number, select I-589. Under the form subtype, select Challenge to 180-Day Asylum EAD Clock, Garcia Perez Settlement Agreement. Under This form is being completed by, select Applicant or Petitioner if you are filling out the form yourself. Next, write your email address. Then, in the next section, fill out your information. Under the Typographic Error section, select Other, Provide Detail, then provide a specific description about why you believe your asylum clock should be corrected or restarted. You may also want to find a lawyer to help with problems with your asylum clock. For more resources on how to find a lawyer, the asylum process, work permits, and more, visit ASAP's website, linked below this video. Thank you for watching and for being part of the ASAP community.